So far we have set up Kafka Workshop as a project, and also we have added Kafka related dependencies to the project. Now let us talk about externalizing the properties. When it comes to using Kafka, we need to connect to Kafka using Kafka Broker or Bootstrap server for producing or consuming messages using topic. Also, if you want to create topics programmatically using admin APIs, we have to connect to Zookeeper. We typically connect to local broker or Bootstrap server or Zookeeper server in development environment and actual production cluster, which are nothing but Kafka cluster or Zookeeper cluster, while running the application in production environment. It is better to externalize the properties related to connecting to cluster and use them at runtime, connecting to relevant environment using those properties. We'll be using something called com.typesafe config package to load externalized properties at runtime. For that, we need to update build.sbt, and the dependency we need to add is this one. So let us add additional dependency here. So library dependency is a collection which is part of SBT. It's a implicit variable as part of SBT. As it is a collection, we can add more and more entries to that collection using plus equal to, and then com.typesafe is the base package, and then config, and then 1.3.2 is the latest version. You can actually Google for it and go to their GitHub repository and see the instructions about how to use it. However, I will be demonstrating for our purpose as part of series of videos wherever it is relevant. That being said, once we add this, it will take some time to download. It already downloaded. Now, if you go back to the material, you can see the dependencies defined in the gist also, so you can leverage this. Make sure to change Kafka clients to 1.1.0 and try to connect to 1.1.0. There is a latest version of Kafka which is 2.x. However, we are not going to demonstrate on 2.x at this time. That being said, when it comes to externalizing the properties as part of your application, there are multiple ways. We can bundle the properties related to all the environments as part of the code base or compiled jar file, and we will be using this approach. Second approach is to place properties file at the same location in all environments and hard code that path or pass that path at runtime to the program as an argument. As we will be using former approach, where we will be having one properties file bundled with the code, we have to categorize property names based on environment they are pointing to. For example, if there are dev properties, we have to say dev dot. If there are UAT properties, we have to say UAT dot. If there are prod properties, we have to use term like prod and then dot, and then you have to come up with the property name. So let us go ahead and take care of it. So when it comes to using typesafe config package, if you want to use the load function to load the properties file from the default location, you have to create a subdirectory under source main. Make sure to create the directory under source main, not in the Scala. And then you have to give the name as resources. Now you see under main there are two directories, one is resources and one is Scala. In Scala we'll be actually having the code with respect to applications, and resources is the one where we will be having the file to store the properties relevant to our application. That being said, now you can right click on this new file, give the name as application.properties, and then we'll be having dev properties as well as prod properties. Dev properties will start with dev dot and prod properties will start with prod dot. Let us review the syntax of what I'm using as part of the gist, and we'll be using the same thing here. So when it comes to Zookeeper, you can say dev.zookeeper. And when we actually run it in our PC, which is considered as development environment, we'll be connecting to local Zookeeper. And hence we can actually say localhost :2181. Even when it comes to prod, the sub configuration for prod has to be same as the sub configuration of dev, which is Zookeeper in this case. And then our Zookeeper in prod is running on 3 nodes. We'll be using Big Data Developer Labs provided by ITversity. And the nodes on which Zookeeper is running is nothing but nn01.itversity.com, :2181, nn02.itversity.com, :2181, and then rm01.itversity.com, :2181. On top of Zookeeper, we also need to connect to Kafka using broker list, and broker list can be termed as bootstrap server also. So here we are using term called bootstrap server, and then equal to, in local environment we'll be using localhost colon 9092, and in our labs, which is considered as production in this case, we'll be using two of the four servers on which Kafka broker is running, and those two servers can be any of the two, wn01, wn02, wn03, wn04. So here we'll be using wn01.itversity.com colon 6667 is the port number on which Kafka brokers are running in our labs, and hence we are using 6667 here. And then we can also say wn02.itversity.com colon 6667. Now let us develop a simple program to access these properties from the program. Here you can go to source main Scala, right click on this and then say new, and then Scala class and change it to object. I'll be naming it as Kafka producer example. We'll be using the same program later to improvise and start producing messages into a topic. Once you create this object, now you can actually define a main method by saying def main and select this template and then hit enter. It will create a skeleton for our main method. And then you can actually say val conf equal to config factory. So you can see that config factory is part of com.typesafe config. Make sure to select this and it will be automatically imported for you. And then you can say load. When you use config factory.load, it will actually get the properties from this file in the form of key value pairs. You can actually say conf.get. I'm seeing if there is all here. There is no all. Let us see if there is any other API which can be used to get all the properties and print here. Let's say get list. Okay, get list takes argument, so this is not applicable. So let us see get, let's say config list. It will also take an argument. Anyway, what we'll be doing is we'll be actually taking an argument for this program, which is nothing but environment in which the program is going to run. For dev, we will be passing it as dev. For prod, we will be passing it as prod, so on and so forth. So I can actually say val env props, that is the variable name, and from configuration, based upon the environment that is passed, I want to load all those properties associated with that environment. So in this case, I can say conf.get config, and we'll be passing the environment as an argument. Let's assume that the first argument will have the environment such as dev, prod for prod, etc. Now you can actually say println env props. Now env props will have multiple properties from the application.properties itself. Only thing is, based upon the environment we pass, it will actually get the properties associated with that category, and it will preserve those things in env props. Now for env props, we can actually use Getstring Api, and as part of the Getstring Api, we can actually pass the property for which we want to get the value. So in this case, I can go back to Kafka producer example and say get string, as we are trying to read the property which is in string format, and let us give the argument as Zookeeper. This will actually give us the Zookeeper related information. Now you can try running this, but as the program takes argument, it will fail saying array index out of bounds exception. However, we will be passing the argument once it fails. So now as it fails, you can actually go to run, go to edit configurations. Not sure why it is showing in red here. It should not be showing in red. Probably some issue, I'm not sure. Anyway, now we can actually go to program arguments and we can say dev, because we are trying to get the properties associated with dev, especially for Zookeeper. There's only one property. We can apply and then click OK and then right click and then run. Now this program will run successfully and it will actually print the property associated with dev.zookeeper. Similarly, if we pass prod as an argument, you should have seen nn01.itverse.com colon 2181, nn02.itverse.com colon 2181, so on and so forth. We'll be using this approach quite extensively as we proceed further several times. Make sure you understand the relevance of this typesafe config package so that you understand whenever we refer this as part of our logic going further. We not only use this as part of this basic examples which we'll be seeing for this section, but in future when we actually develop a bit advanced examples also with Spark and other things, we'll be using this application.properties and typesafe config quite extensively. So make sure to digest the information and understand the nuances behind it so that you are comfortable using it as part of your logic as well.